Let's put some ripe bananas to use in my delicious, moist rice bread recipe. And you'll learn why this is my most popular recipe so far. Good morning, beautiful people. Welcome back. If you're new here, welcome to Flo's Kitchen. I'm back with another recipe, and it is my rice bread recipe with zero guesswork. Yeah, because we're measuring everything, even the bananas. Now let's get to baking. For this recipe, we're gonna need 2 whole eggs, 1/3 of a cup of light brown sugar, 1 teaspoon nutmeg, 1 teaspoon freshly grated ginger, 2 cups of cream of rice. That is the whole box, okay? Half a cup of vegetable oil. We're gonna need half a cup of evaporated milk. I love using this milk because it is not watered down and it's rich and creamier. For our leavening agents, we're going to use baking powder and baking soda. 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. We have our measuring tools, a little hand grater, and then we have our baking dish. I'm using a 9x13 cast iron baking dish. It's a lot thicker and a lot heavier than the tin foil baking dish. So if you're using a tin foil baking dish, an aluminum pan, or whatever they call it now, just be mindful of the temperature of the oven, okay?
Still set your oven temp to 350. The type of pan that you use does not matter. Really. Be patient and take your time.
The recommended temperature for baking this bread is 350. Now keep in mind that all ovens are not made equal. And I think my oven is older than me, so now I'm just gonna grate the nutmeg and the ginger so that we can mix the dry ingredients first. That is a simple route to baking for me. Mix the dry ingredients in a separate bowl, the wet ingredients in a separate bowl, and then combine. Now for the nutmeg and the ginger, if you want to get the ready-made one that you can just use, that is completely up to you, but I recommend fresh ingredients because the fresher your ingredients, the better your bread is going to taste. And it's okay if you want to adjust the ginger, the nutmeg, and the vanilla extract to your liking. In that little dish, we have the baking powder, the baking soda, and half a teaspoon of salt. Adding the sugar, we're going to mix, and then we're going to add in our freshly grated nutmeg. Combine all that together well and set it aside. And then we're going to start on mixing the wet ingredients, and we're starting with the bananas. Now I have 10 large ripe bananas, overripe bananas, okay? And we're going to mash them and then measure it. Now I'm not saying you're only gonna need 10 large bananas, okay? You're probably gonna need more, you're gonna need less based on the sizes of the bananas. But what you're gonna need is 4 cups of overripe mashed bananas. I like the chunkiness of the bananas in my rice bread. That's why I don't use a blender to mash my bananas. But if you like your rice bread smooth and you want to use a blender to mash your bananas, you can do just that. After we have mashed and measured the bananas, we're going to add it into a large mixing bowl. And then we're going to add the rest of the wet ingredients. I had about 2 or 3 tablespoons mashed banana left in that bowl. I'm going to go ahead and add it to the mix as well. If you have a little bit left, just add it. It won't break it. Add in the freshly grated ginger. That's 1 whole teaspoon. 1 whole teaspoon vanilla extract. And we're going to crack in 2 whole eggs. Now look at that. Why are my egg yolks different colors? And I think they all came from the same chicken. Okay. Anyway, we're going to add in our oil and we're going to add in our milk. And then we're going to give it a good mix. I'm using my hand mixer, but you don't have to use a hand mixer. You can use a cooking spoon, a silicone spatula, or whatever tools you have available to you. Now we have all the wet ingredients combined. We're going to add the dry ingredients and give it a good mix. All of the ingredients and the directions are going to be listed down below. So be sure to check it out in case you want to try this recipe. Now for the $1,000,000 question, should I use baking powder? Should I use baking soda? Can I use both? Can I use just one? That answer is down below as well. So be sure to check it out. Now that we have the wet and the dry ingredients fully combined, we're going to transfer it into our baking dish. Let's grease our pan first before we add the batter. The oven is already preheated and ready to go. Always grease or oil your baking pan, even if the pan is a non-stick pan. Now we're going to transfer all that goodness to the oven. Set the timer for 45 minutes and leave it alone. After the 45 minutes, we're going to check to see if the bread is ready. Mine was good enough, so I went ahead and took it out. If your bread is not ready, you can always put it back in there for another 10 to 15 minutes. The baking time for this bread is 45 minutes to an hour. Once we remove from oven, we're gonna let it rest. Let it cool for at least 30 minutes before serving. Now your super moist, extra juicy, absolutely delicious rice bread is ready to be served. Don't forget to subscribe and share this recipe with your friends and family. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys later. Enjoy.